Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and today is a continuation of my Hidden Gem series, video number 16. But today I'm going to be focusing on the Microsoft Forms, and I have 6 hidden gems to talk about. But first, here's my intro video. So these are the 6 hidden gems that I'm going to cover. As you can see, there's some really neat ones over there. And what I'll do is I'll actually go back and forth on those which are for your employees versus those that are anonymous, because depending on what you pick and choose, some of these may or may not be available. So I kind of understand that, and I'll be covering it into these 2 scenarios as well. So let's take a look at the form, all right? I'm not going to spend any time building the forms because that's not the whole reason for this video, but I'll be jumping back and forth a few forms over here. All right, so the first one that I want to talk about is a very important one, and that's called as the immersive reading. So when I come over here for, say, filling out a form, whether it is on the laptop, on the tablet, or on the your phone, if I go ahead and click on preview, right now you see this ellipsis option over there, and when you click on it, there's something called as enable immersive reader. Now this is not a browser related add-in. This is deep inside the forms over here, and in fact it is part of the immersive reading program that Microsoft has introduced, and they've spread that out across so many of their services. Microsoft Teams is one of them, but it's also available directly inside the Microsoft Forms over here. So when I actually click on it, it gives me a few options. First is it'll actually take you as if you're filling the form, and it puts this over here, which is called as the immersive reader. When I select it, it takes me into a different kind of page for a different look and feel. But what it does is it gives me more variety to select from. It actually says, hey, this is your text preference. Do you want to make it bigger? Do you want to make it smaller? Do you want to change the font? Do you want to change the coloring? I mean, it gives you a lot of options to make it a lot more easier. But then all said and done, when I just click on play,
how are you feeling today?
It reads that whole thing. So if you didn't catch that, I'm going to select that play again.
How are you feeling today?
You see that? Once you've actually heard what the question is, it becomes more easy to answer them. So immersive reading is a huge step forward when it comes to this Microsoft Forms, and I simply had to show you that this feature was available. So once again, when you come over here, it's not easily available. You got to go on these ellipses over here, and that's where you enable it and disable it. And now I'll go ahead and disable that. All right, so that was the first one. Second one is the whole concept of doing the customized thank you. So the customized thank you was actually pretty neat too, because for a long time, once you finished filling the form, there was just one thank you. But now you have the flexibility to add a customized thank you as well. So when I come back over here now, in order to do that, you got to go into the ellipsis, or it says more form settings, click on that, go to settings, and over here, it gives you right over here, the option says customized thank you message. And like I mentioned before, this is how it is showing right now, is only people in the organization. But if I switch over to anyone, and anyone can respond, which is completely anonymous, that function to customize your thank you message still there. So it works for both ways, your internal as well as the anonymous. Both of the flexibilities are there. All right. So now we covered 2 already. Let's jump to the third one, is that share for specific people in your organization. So that was actually pretty neat, but sometimes there's a little bit of confusion in that. That's why I want to spend a little extra time on this one. So right here, it's like anyone can respond. The form is one of them, but you have these 2 options now. Before, there was only this. It's like only people in your organization can respond. But there's this third option now. It's the specific people in my organization can respond. So when I click on specific, it gives me the same 2 options which are there. Like right here in the only in the people in my organization, there is the record name, and then only one person can respond. So the options are the exact same as the only people in your organization, but this says specific people in my organization. So what was confusing specifically to me is, okay, how do I even get these specific people? And for that, I had to actually look at 2 things. First was I looked at the documentation. So let's go and take a look at the documentation. In the documentation, by the way, the link to that is in the description below. It says in who can fill out this form, it says only people in my organization, and then specific people in my organization. So the specific people in my organization is basically tells you, what kind of license they need to have. But then here was basically the main, gist, which is very interesting, because it says you can designate a total of up to 100 individual names or group names. So the 100 is not tied to a single person. It can be tied to an individual, but it can also be tied to group names. So as we continue reading on, it says of the 100 limit, you can designate up to 20 groups. Each group can contain up to 1,000 individuals. So it's not just 100 people over there. You could have, like, for example, this 20 groups, each of them was 1,000 individuals. That's 20,000 people. So again, don't let the term of only 100 individuals confuse you. It's the 100 individuals, which could be users or it could be groups. So that's very important thing for you to understand. But then how you go ahead and use it can also be confusing, because over here it just gives you these two options. There's a record name or one person in response. The trick is when you actually go ahead and start to click on the preview. Actually, when you want to go ahead and share it, this is where it comes up with. See, specific people in my organization can respond. You can actually go and select the three options right here. It's like only people in my organization. If you do that, see that it disappeared over there. But now if I go ahead and do specific people in my organization, this is where you add either the email addresses or this is where you add those groups. It's right here at this level. So kind of, it's a little, confusing, because the settings is where you go and select that. But when the time comes to actually select those people or groups, you actually need to go to the share, and over there in the share, this is where you select that. So it's kind of not intuitive to some extent, but it's there. You just need to know where to go over there. So that was basically the third option, is specific people in my organization over there. And actually, one more thing I want to talk about in that sense is what all does it record when you are selecting the two options. So if I go back over here into my settings, over here it says anyone can respond. Well, anyone can respond. When you submit a form, it is anonymous. But also in only people in my organization, you have something called as this record time, or record name. So it's giving you a checkbox option, which means you can and cannot select it. So let's actually do a test, all right? So I'm going to go over here to my record name, and I'm going to say, make this a 3-day weekend. Oops, I need to actually preview it. And I'm going to make this a 3-day weekend, as I need caffeine, and I'm going to click on submit. Now when I go back over here, I see this is my third one, so I'm going to select that. Let me go ahead and open this in Excel. When I click on it, Excel opens up, and here's the third one. See, so when I uncheck that option, the email was basically anonymous and the name was blank. That's the third one that I just selected. See, make a 3-day weekend and need caffeine. That just proves that that's the one. So it's pretty neat, because even though you're selecting the option for only people in your organization, person who fills it is still anonymous, all right? And there is no other metadata that it is picking up, nothing like that. When it's purely with Microsoft Forms, it remains 100% anonymous. However, if I go back now into the settings over here, go back to the settings, and now I select record name over here, and now we can go ahead and do another preview, and I'll just say meh, submit, go back. See, that's the fourth one. Let's open up the Excel spreadsheet again. When I open up the Excel spreadsheet, you will see the fourth one, which was meh. It picked up the email address and it picked up the name, the full name over here. So you kind of understand this distinction between the two. Anonymous is purely anonymous, regardless of if it's anyone or people in your organization. But then if you are selecting, the option to save it, it picks up the email address and it picks up the display name. It's kind of important thing for you to understand over there. All right. So that was the third one, which was the specific people in my organization. Now let's jump over to the customized theme. And I want to spend some time on the customized theme as well. So again, a lot of it wasn't very new, because customized theme, you had the option to pick and select these new ones. You had the option to go ahead and upload your own image or picture. In fact, I can do this over here. I come over here, I go to my OneDrive. I've got some images in my OneDrive. Yep, that's a good one. So I select that, I click on add. It goes ahead and shows me the picture over here. In fact, it's kind of loading it into Forms, and there you go. That's my backend over there. But this was the new one, is the customized color. So in my customized color, I now have the option to go ahead and put in a hex number. So say if I go ahead and capture a hex number that I have, I just delete the whole thing, I do that, and now it even gives me a preview. Say, hey, this is good. But do you notice what happened? It doesn't fill up the background. It fills up only the form piece over there. So kind of keep that in mind, that it does give you that little added information or little added design functionality, that you can still pick and choose your background, but the form itself, basically the layout of the buttons for adding the form and everything, it gives you that customization over there. So it helps you when it comes to your own company's branding functionality over there. But I don't want to stop over here. I do want to spend a few minutes over here as well. Because when you come over here, it gives you the option to select and insert data. And now you can go ahead and put in the image and the video. So some of you may be thinking, well, Daniel, how does that help me? But let's think about the form context altogether. You can make this form potentially as if you're in the advertising department and you want a form to fill out saying that, hey, this is a new set of pictures that are coming out in the next month's newsletter. Which one of these pictures do you find most appropriate for this topic? You don't need to put any text over there. You can directly put in your image, put an image over there, and I can show you an example. Let's go ahead and grab that same image. I'll go ahead and add it. It gives you the functionality to directly put in the image over there. I can go ahead and take out the text, and then after that, it'll go ahead and even give you the option. Now it says images must be less than 5 megs. So if I go ahead and try again, it's actually that image I know is 6 meg over there. So I'll select something smaller, come back over here, and now it goes ahead and puts in that image. So again, the context is very important of this form, but it gives you that flexibility that, hey, I want to do images over there, and then also gives you more flexibility that, hey, make it a large image, make it a small image, you can zoom in, zoom out, add some text to it. So much more flexibility on that. So that is the customizing the theme, but I've also deep dived a little bit in how to customize the form itself and each of those questions over there. All right, now I want to focus a little bit on the fifth one, which is the estimated time to complete. And I really love that because in one of the videos I talked about breaking down a form into sections, and that is where I first learned about this. So let's actually jump into that form. I have a video on this. I had described how to go ahead and build it in sections. I'll put the link down over here, and you'll also see it at the end of the video. Go check it out because it really helps on focusing on the sections piece of it. Anyway, so now when I come in on this form, I go to settings. There is this option called as show progress. Well, actually, I'll take that back. The progress bar for the end. So I'll jump in and skip over there. But here's what it is. Right down over here, it starts giving you, and it kind of intuitively does that, is in this form. When I was filling out the form and making it, I think it's got like 25 different questions over there. It immediately went and put this in, and it says that, hey, this is 10 minutes. And it says, estimated time to complete this is 10 minutes. And it says, gives you more information, and that response is directly related to the survey length. We suggest to either shortening your survey to encourage more responses. Very useful, very intuitive, and it automatically went ahead and did that. So it's kind of helpful, and it gives you an estimated time to complete that over there. And then finally, the progress bar. So let's jump into the progress bar thing. So go back into the settings over there, and in the settings, there is the show progress bar. Now, the show progress bar only is available if you've got multiple pages over there. For example, this form over here is a very simple form. So when I go into here and I go into its settings, the show progress bar is grayed out. And it gives me an information. It says that, hey, only available for multi-page type of surveys over there. Now, this is a simple 2-question survey, nothing big, nothing fancy. That's why it didn't show up over here. But in this one, it is a multiple-page survey. It does have, different, multiple questions. And therefore, in this case, the show progress bar showed up over here. And so now, as an example, if I go and, pretend like I'm filling this out, you don't immediately see it up over here, but if you scroll down, it does. It says the survey is that, hey, this is a 3-page survey. You're on page number 1. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. We looked at the 6 hidden gems for Microsoft Forms over here. And we also looked at it from 2 different approaches. People who are part of your organization or who are outside your organization, and how that affects some of the things such as, your information about when you filled it, your email display name, all of that we looked into it. So hopefully this was helpful, and thanks for watching this video.